Hi everyone, Youthany410 here, Discord's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of Jay Lee's Great Expectations. This is the highly anticipated Spotify project by Jay Lee, aka Mr. Martian, also known as PP Poo Poo. Three of the hottest aliases coming out of Brighton, England, essentially putting the city on the hip-hop map in the last year. A lot of the Jay Lee hype has been building up to this point, his first project on Spotify. And even though it's here, it still feels unreal. Not just because of Jay Lee's rise on SoundCloud to Discord credibility, but also because the beats are still YouTube beats, the tracks aren't mixed, and the mic quality still isn't the best. Which is to no fault of Jay Lee himself, so I won't be criticising this album on mixing or mic quality. I'd only talk about what the Brighton boy had to offer. As essential as this project may seem, his first project on Spotify, it actually appears to be just a detour. I've received countless angry messages from the artist himself explaining that this is more of a compilation than a cohesive project, that it's not meant to be cohesive. So I would keep this in mind. This compilation project was released around the same time as Eminem's new surprise album, Music to be Murdered By. This is unfortunate because the majority of Jay Lee's fan base is on a Discord server dedicated to Eminem. Despite this roadblock, Great Expectations has risen above its competition and reached the ears of its audience. And even though in the past, while I have been underwhelmed at some of Mr. Lee's projects, such as Halfway to Pluto or the Jay Lee EP, I'm hoping that this project being on Spotify will spark the motivation that he needs to fix some of the flaws that his music has had in the past. So Great Expectations is 10 tracks long, it's about 32 minutes. Fortunately, this project doesn't feature too many over-the-top concepts or try-hard hooks or unstructured verses, but I can't say that this project surpasses my expectations. This project being good enough for Spotify in Jay Lee's eyes compared to his other projects doesn't mean that there's improved storytelling or better bars or more interesting concepts. He still puts vocal effects on his vocals that just do not work well with his vocals. He still does vocal layering that's ineffective. On the song Simple Man, Jay Lee attempts to discuss his relationship with his mother and his father in a new way that we haven't seen from him before. While I don't find the execution to be up to standard, I can appreciate the intent and the concept of the track overall. The second verse being the most effective, where he's essentially speaking from the perspective of his father to himself. I found this was a big step up from "Fuck you, Dad! You'll never be my dad!" I also feel like the talking parts in between the verses shouldn't have been there because they come off very corny and they take away from the deepness of the track, the intended deepness. This track is quickly followed up by a short song dedicated to his mother, where Jay Lee's flow is more on point and his feelings are better articulated and he's coming across more real. He somehow wrote this minute-long track in 30 seconds, which I find to be very impressive. Across the project, Jay Lee showcases many flows and they're impressive. They work well with the beats. EULOGY is the best example of this, where he's swapping his flow every couple of seconds and they all are working. This track is also one of Jay Lee's more emotional tracks that actually works because it's not trying too hard to pull emotion out of the audience. This brings us on to CANDLEBURN. CANDLEBURN has a terrible beat that tries to force emotion out of the audience, and it takes a lot away from what Jay Lee is actually saying in the verses. Also, I feel like when he picks beats that already have hooks in them, it does highlight the difference in quality between his mic and the mic quality of whoever sang. The hook on this track is also horrible. The female chipmunk vocals, just stop using them. The beat choice on this record it's not good. It's a problem that I thought was fixed on Halfway to Pluto. These kind of corny fake deep beats with corny fake deep hooks attached to them already, they don't get the reaction out of the audience that Jay Lee might think they do. The beat on CANDLEBURN is so just emotion, feeling emotion, please. I'm forcing the emotion out of the audience. Emotions, get the emotion out of the people listening to the track. Give me the emotion. Give me the emotion. Jay Lee told me personally that he really liked that beat. The track I Wish also has one of these terrible hooks, but the beat is admittedly better, especially on the verses. Mr. Lee uses a repetition technique on this track that goes on for too long on the first verse and the second verse. It's the same thing again and again. The third verse does switch it up a bit, which is refreshing, but his delivery kind of goes downhill on that third verse, so it's hard to make out what he's saying compared to the first two, but it is nice that he switched the flow. Unfortunately, switching the flow in the last verse, it just didn't stop this track from becoming one of the more forgettable ones on the record. This record has a few quotables as well, such as "Fucking stick a set of stencils in your ass and draw some better sketches," and "I'll take a butter knife and put it to your mother wife." The intro track to this record starts off well, but then the beat switch happens, the first one, which feels very abrupt and kind of out of nowhere. I was really kind of enjoying this flow in the first part, but then it just kind of, it swapped to, it was very jarring, and there's a number of beat switches, which I do like the concept of this kind of montage type intro track. But the problem is, in this montage, there's one of the clips where Jay Lee isn't even on the clip, it's just some random song and someone else is singing. I don't know why it's in this montage, because this singer, and he's, not that I know of, he's not in feature credits on any of the tracks. I don't know why he's here. It's definitely not Jay Lee anyway. After this montage, we hear sirens, which I can only assume to be the police cars chasing Jay Lee. No, they're coming for me. Help! The talking parts on this record really drag it out. They just come off as corny. They don't do what Mr. Lee intends for them to do. An example being on the track Fuse-Lit, where the first half of the track is just kind of this spoken word type of delivery. It just does not work in my opinion. But then there's a beat switch into a Kanye West type beat, and Jay Lee is quiet. He's flowing quite nicely on this beat. Just Like Me, the second track on this record, has good production though, and features some of Mr. Lee's better rapping on this LP or compilation project, as he told me it was. This track is definitely one of the highlights on the record. This track also made me realise that the shorter Jay Lee tracks, without any hook, whether he's doing it or he has the YouTube beat doing it, no hook, just kind of a short verse, I think that's what I want from Jay Lee more so. Just a short track with just a verse. This record does have a rap feature though on the track High Notes, and both Jay Lee and Watts flow smoothly and they ride the beat very well. Unfortunately, the track is dragged down by a very not good hook. Finishing on high notes! Watts added a lot to this track. I really like the narrative he brings on his verse. Lyrically it's sound as well. But then there's a beat switch, and this beat switch does not work. It's tonally completely different. There's nothing's the same about this beat. I don't know why this was part of this song. It feels like it was just copy pasted on for no reason. It has the choirs, so it's kind of bringing Jay Lee back to his Eminem influence roots, and I feel like Jay Lee does better when he's more unique and original as opposed to more clearly biting styles. Overall, this project didn't live up to the great expectations I had for Jay Lee, especially being his first Spotify project. The flows across the project were impressive, but nothing else was. The beat choice, the hooks, the song topics, they did not impress me. I'm feeling a strong 9 to a light 10 on this one. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Euphoria, Geo, Mark, Boats, Kinsey, Seat, Lix, Ville, J. Lee, forever. We're about to receive a call from the artist himself. This normally doesn't happen in reviews, but
we're revolutionary.
we are. Okay. Speak. He's connecting. I think he's... Hello?
Hey man.
Hello?
Hey, hello. Have you finished the review?
Yeah, this is going to be in the review. Well, it depends what you say.
Yes. It's got a few notes, man. So I've got things I want to say to you, man. First of all, man, no disrespect to you, man. Still love, you know, the artists, man. You know.
Yeah?
That's on the, you know how it is.
Yeah?
So it's all love, man. Second of all, man, I just want to say, you good, man? Music is subjective is a point I want to make. You get me? So
Yeah.
took that into account when you reviewed this project, is it?
Yeah,
Survival, man.
The singing is subjective and all that.
Listen to me, man. I'm talking, man. I don't want to hear no 2s or 3s on this, man. You know, if I'm listening to this and I'm giving you disrespect to my craft.
No, a 2 or 3 would be... It would be too generous. I'm joking.
Man, listen, man. What did I say about it being love, man? Come on.
Yeah, no. I think you like the score. It's a fair score.
Yeah, well, good, man. Good. I'm expecting to see maybe some 9s and 10s because you know how much I put into this, man.
Yeah. You like the score. You like the score.
Yeah, cool.
You might like the journey to the score, but you like the score.
Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Hey, third of all, I just want to quickly plug my socials. That's at @J_Exley on Instagram, man. Respect my hustle, man. You got to respect my hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Anyway, man, I'm busy, man. I've got stuff to do, man. So, you know, it's all love, man. Have a good night, man. But like I said, you know, no disrespect to my music, you know.
Yeah, no disrespect. I respect you fully. You're the owner. Don't ban me. When this comes out, don't ban me.
I won't, man, because like I said, it's all love. Unless you be disrespecting my name, it's all love.
Yeah, okay.
Cool, man.
Okay.
Peace, man.
Bye.
Peace.
Love you.
Yeah.
Bye, hang up.
Well, there you go.
Wait, oh yeah, that was J. Lee, Great Expectations. Hi everyone. Damn. I got it for a few seconds. Hi everyone. Damn. Hi everyone. Euthony Fortano here. Discord's busiest music nerd. No, I smiled. This is the highly anticipated Spotify project by J. Lee, aka Mr. Martian, also known as PP Poo Poo. But also because the beats are still YouTube beats, the tracks still aren't mixed, and the mic quality... I'll only talk about what the Brighton boy had control over. Okay.
Brighton boy.
Yeah. This compilation project was released at the same time as Eminem's surprise album, Music to be Murdered By, which is unfortunate because This compilation project was released at the same time as Eminem's new surprise album, Music to be Murdered By, which is unfortunate because the majority of J. Lee's fan base is on... Oh my god. This compilation project was released on the same day as Eminem's new surprise album, Music to be Murdered By, which is unfortunate because the majority of J. Lee's fan base is on a Discord server. This compilation project was released at the same time as Eminem's new surprise album, Music to be Murdered By. This is unfortunate as most of J. Lee's fan base is on a Discord server dedicated to Eminem. No, I smiled at the end. Shit.
Oh, it's so close.
Despite this road bump, Great expectation. I'm hoping that this project being on Spotify will spark the motivation that he needs to fix some of the flaws that his music has had in the past. It won't! Fortunately, this project does not feature too many fuck. But I can't say that anything on this project surpassed my... Fortunately, this project does not feature too many over-the-top concepts or trash hooks. No, can't be saying that. Unstructured verses. But I can't say that the project has surpassed my fuck!
Oh, I suppose.
Fuck! While I don't think the execution on the track was good enough, I can appreciate the intent and fuck. Across the project, Jay Lee delivers many flows that are impressive and they work well with the beats. Usually, fuck, I was supposed to say eulogy there. Mr. Lee uses a and I'll take a butter knife.
The lyrical miracle, J. Lee spiritual.
And I'll take a butter knife. But one of the tracks in this montage doesn't even have JD on it.
just saying it out loud is just...
Just like me, the second last track also has good production. Wait, why did I say also? The other one.
That's wrong.
I think that's what I want from Jay Lee more so. Just a short track with just a verse.
You just make it sound like he's trash.
As short as possible. No. This record does have a rap feature on the track High Notes. Both Jay Lee and Watts have...
You have to say it with a straight face as well.
Yeah. This record does have a rap feature though. On the track High Notes, Jay Lee and Watts really ride the beat well. They're flowing smoothly.
What?
This record does have a rap feature though on the track High Notes. Both Jay Lee and Watts they have smooth flows and they're riding the beat. Fuck. This record does have a track called High Notes which has a rap feature. Both Jay Lee and Watts